This video's all about flooring. Remember when I spent 200 hours laying this flooring? This is the perfect time to talk about all the different floor coverings you can put in your new build. Being a carpenter, I wanted a timber floor. This one here is sustainably grown beech from down south via a company called Health Based Building. Honestly, I probably would be reluctant to do timber again. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of maintenance. It's hard not to be precious about them, you know, because the amount of time that it took to install, and then you've got to like polish it, and then you got to use special cleaners. But if you want that warm, natural look, and also it's like nice to walk around on, opposed to some of the other hard floors like vinyl plank or polished concrete, it's much nicer on your feet. Coco seems to love it. She's not opposed to just sleeping anywhere in here on the floor, plonks herself down in any old spot. Oh. It's not only deciding what you want, but it's deciding where do you want it and how are those areas going to interact. Where are you going to open a door with wet shoes? Where are you going to take the shoes off? Where is the carpet going to be? So we've done this in two houses now where all the living, hallway, kitchen, etc. is hard floor, and all of the rooms you're relaxing or you're sleeping is carpet. This one's pretty standard, solution dyed nylon, upgraded underlays. If you're going to spend money on upgrades, you're better to spend it on the underlay. So one of the pros of carpet is the kids get down on the floor and they love sitting on it, laying on it, playing on it. It's like a little bit softer, it feels a little bit more comfortable. On the hard floor, it's easier to sweep and vacuum and clean and mop. On the carpet, it just seems to kind of like collect stuff a bit more. Let's explore what people often do in a bathroom. Yo, so we're in the ensuite and this has got tiled floors and tiled walls. If you're putting tiles in your house, make sure you walk on them in socks before you lock them in. You want a little bit of friction, especially in a wet area, but you don't want them to be too much friction so they're like Velcro in your socks. Pros of tiles in a wet area, you know, it just feels like a luxurious room. You get the water in the shower, it spills out, you just, again, like a hard floor, you just mop it up. A con would be that it can often feel quite cold, especially in those winter months. We weren't fussed on underfloor heating and I haven't regretted it. I think the other thing to think about is when you add tiles, you're now adding a third contractor. So you've got like your hard floor installer, you've got your carpet installer, and you've got your tiles. We deal with one company who will sort all of that out, but it just adds to your process. I have seen a house where they did tiles all through the living area, and that's a traditional thing in Aussie as well. A lot of Aussie houses have tiles all through there, and maybe, I don't know, in European countries, you tell me, wherever you're watching, what do you put in your main living areas? You shouldn't be wearing boots inside, but you know what you should be doing? Going ahead and click subscribe. Help us crack 10K subs. Those are the three choices I chose at the section nobody wanted. You can also do vinyl plank, and that's something we use as a standard in a lot of our builds. I really weighed up whether I was going to do timber or vinyl, and there's been moments where I wish I'd just done vinyl. I think for me as well, I had a look on the stairs that I wanted, and I was trying to work out how that would tie in with the vinyl. I was really wrestling with, like, I wanted the timber stairs, and I had a look in my mind, and then it was like one thing led to the other, and then I was like, if the bathroom's going to be timber and the stairs are going to be timber, then why don't I just do timber everywhere? And then like 10 out of 200 hours of laying timber, I was like, why did I decide this? It would have been so easy just to say, yo, subby, vinyl there. Vinyl plank. Gives you a very similar look to timber. We use a product called Cardine. They have some amazing ranges and looks really good. It's a good value option. Another cool thing about that is if you damage one piece, it's easy to pull up one plank, fix that one spot and do that, whereas we've had to rip up a few boards and replace them. It's like a full day's work for a carpenter. And I think those are some of the things to think about as well, as upkeep and maintenance. Yes, there's some connotations of like vinyl sheet. I think it's called linoleum or something like that. That like just big rolls of it getting rolled out with those tile look patterns on it. Yeah, that can feel a bit tacky, but I'm really impressed with the vinyl plank and I think it's a great option. I think polished concrete, especially if you're doing a slab, is something that everyone considers because they think, oh, I've already poured the slab, won't I save all this money if I do polished concrete? And we've done it now on 4 builds, and every time I do it, I'm like, I'm never doing this again. And honestly, it messes with our building process so much. And the other hard thing about concrete is that it is a living, breathing product, and every floor is slightly different, and so you can't replicate a look, you can only work with what you've poured. Each step of this process, you've got to be so mindful of this floor that you're going to be polishing right at the end. And so you can't build the way you would normally build when you know all of the flooring's getting covered. It doesn't mean you can't do it, doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, it just means you've got to think about whether you want to add that complexity to the process. Because it's not just the cost of the polishing, it's the cost of working around it the whole way through the build. When it's done right, it can look $1 million. You know, if you've got that look in your mind, especially that like industrial or modern look, it really, really looks the part. And it's a feature on its own. Just like when people walk in here and they're like, wow, look at the timber. A really well polished floor will be like, wow, look at that. You still end up softening it with things like rugs. Think about then, do you do like slab edge insulation, and do you do underfloor heating? It's like tiled bathrooms. So another pro of concrete would be that if it catches a lot of that north facing sun during the day, it can act as a heat sink or a heat store that like slowly releases that back into the room overnight. That's a really good thing in summer or when there's lots of sun, but it can also be a negative when it's really cold. It takes a lot to heat up, but when it heats up, it stays hot. And one more thing that you wouldn't think about is if you drop like plates on concrete, it's most likely going to shatter straight away. I dropped a wine glass on the timber the other day and it didn't smash. So like even timber has that little bit of like give in it, a little bit more softness than that hard edge of concrete. That's my video about the 5 floorings we use in our building company. Tell me about a flooring I've missed and that you use commonly.